Pete, you ever walked into a room and you instantly felt the tension? No one said anything, but somehow you just knew? It's fascinating, right? Most people think power is in what you say. But I've learned through failure, through insane pressure, Pete, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing. Silence isn't weakness, it's leverage. And today, Pete, I want to show you why. I remember the day before the first Falcon 1 launch. My team was buzzing, people were nervous, tired. There was this feeling in the air, like everything we worked for could fall apart in seconds at a high speed. And instead of giving some grand motivational speech, I stood in silence, just watched, looked each of them in the eye, nodded. That silence said what words couldn't. I trust you. We're ready? Let's go. You see, in moments of chaos, silence can speak certainty. When everyone else panics, the one who stays still becomes the anchor. In today's world, speed, silence feels awkward. We're trained to fill space. Talk, explain, justify. But that's because silence makes people uncomfortable. Why? Because it exposes the truth. You can't hide behind noise when you're quiet. So let me ask you, Speed, when was the last time you just listened without planning what to say next? I had to learn that the hard way. Pete, especially during Tesla board meetings when people talked endlessly, I'd stay quiet, just absorbing. Then, when I spoke, it mattered because I wasn't just reacting, I was understanding. Silence shifts power in a conversation. In neuroscience, Speed, there's this thing called mirror neurons. When you stay silent, people instinctively start mirroring your behavior. They lean in, they want to fill the gap. And in that moment, you're in control. I've seen this in boardrooms, in interviews, Pete, even in negotiations with governments. When I stayed silent, they revealed more than they planned, because silence creates space for truth. What does silence actually do for you? One, clarity. When you're quiet, you see patterns others miss. Two, influence. People trust those who listen more than they talk. Three, speed, strength. In crisis, silence shows composure. It's a signal of inner strength. Think about it. Pete, the most secure people you've met, they're not shouting. They speak less, but it lands harder. And if you're trying to build something, whether it's a company, a career, or even just your peace of mind, you need that edge, Pete. I used to react too quickly. I'd get defensive in interviews, impatient in meetings. But over time, I realized every time I reacted instantly, I missed a chance to evolve. Silence gave me something I never had when I was younger. Pause, perspective, power. When you're silent, you hear your own thoughts. You confront them. You refine them. You get to ask yourself, do I actually believe what I'm about to say, or is it just noise? Here's the truth. Most of the mistakes aren't because we didn't know what to say. It's because we said it too fast. I remember this interview and at early SpaceX days. A journalist cornered me with a loaded question. You've failed multiple times. What makes you think you're not just wasting money? Everyone was watching. I could have snapped back, but instead I paused. 10 seconds of silence. And in those 10 seconds got uncomfortable. The camera zoomed in, and when I finally responded, my voice was calm, measured. I said, because I believe in solving problems that matter, Pete, even if it takes 1,000 failures. The clip went viral, not because of what I said, high speed, but because of how long I waited to say it. If you're wondering how to actually use silence, here's what I've learned. Use silence after making a powerful point. Let it breathe before responding to difficult questions. It earns your respect. Stay quiet in arguments. It disarms the other person. Don't use silence to punish people. That's manipulation. Speed. Don't stay silent when you need to speak truth or protect others. Don't confuse silence with passivity. Speed. Silence is active listening, not inaction. Ask yourself, is my silence creating space or avoiding responsibility? That's the difference between wisdom and fear. Let me ask you something and really think about it. Speed. When was the last time you let someone finish completely without interrupting? Have you ever sat with your thoughts for 10 minutes without music, scrolling, or speaking? Speed. What are the words you say on autopilot that silence could actually replace? You see, this episode isn't about just knowing something new. It's about asking yourself the right questions, because the answers you need, they don't always come through words. In 2013, Speed, a neuroscience study revealed something profound. 2 minutes of silence is more calming for the brain than even relaxing music. Why? Because silence activates the default mode network, the part of your brain responsible for insight, memory, imagination. That means if you want to solve hard problems like designing a rocket, building AI, or fixing your own habits, you need mental space. Silence creates that space. No one builds great things in noise. You need stillness to see the truth at a high speed. Silence is not weakness, it's control. It enhances your thinking, your relationships, your leadership. It lets your truth speak louder than noise, and it helps you grow in ways no words ever could. I've been in relationships where talking more made things worse. You ever been there? You keep explaining, defending, repeating, but the more you speak, the less the other person hears you, and then one day you stop, you listen, and suddenly everything shifts. Silence allows people to feel seen. In romantic relationships, I've learned sometimes your partner doesn't need your answer. They need your presence. And silence, real silence is presence. Even in leadership at SpaceX, Tesla, I've seen it play out. The best leaders aren't the loudest. They are the ones who create space so others feel safe to speak. Let's talk about business. Silence in negotiation. High speed, it's deadly effective. In 2008, during the financial crisis, Tesla was bleeding. I was in a room negotiating with investors. They gave an offer. Lowball, insulting. I didn't say a word. I just looked at them 10 seconds, then 15. They got nervous. And without me saying a word, they raised the number. See, silence in negotiation does two things. It shows you're not desperate, and it pressures them to rethink their own position. Most people fear silence in those moments, but I've learned silence is your strongest counteroffer. How do you actually build the habit of silence? Try this. Before every response, count 1, 2 in your head. Schedule 10 minutes a day of no input, no screens, no talking, just stillness. In conflict, say, let me think about that. Instead of reacting at first, it'll feel strange. You'll want to fill the gap. But with time, you'll notice something shift. Your words will start to carry weight because silence doesn't remove your voice. It sharpens it. There's something people miss when they think about silence. They think it's empty, void, passive. But silence is a language. It speaks energy, and energy, unlike words, doesn't lie. You ever walk into a room where no one said a word, but you feel something is wrong or right? That's the unspoken world of silence, where truth lives underneath the noise. I've learned, before people trust your words, they trust your energy. And the clearest way to align your energy is through stillness. Not everything needs to be said, but everything felt needs to be understood. So next time you're with someone, Practice being fully there without filling the space. Let your presence do the talking. Peed, because silence doesn't make you invisible, it makes you magnetic. Let me tell you about someone I deeply admire, Nikola Tesla. He wasn't loud, he wasn't on stage, he was silent and alone and decades ahead of his time. Tesla once said, "The mind is sharper and keener in seclusion and uninterrupted solitude. That silence, it wasn't weakness, it was innovation." Peed. In the quiet, he discovered alternating current, wireless energy, and blueprints we still haven't fully understood. Speed. I named my company after him because he reminds us that true vision doesn't come from louder opinions. It comes from deeper thought. Silence is where the future is designed. So if you ever feel too quiet for this world, remember you might be the one building what others will someday depend on. Pete, there was a night I was reviewing plans for Mars habitation systems. Team was exhausted, ideas were hitting walls. Pete, everyone kept talking, suggesting, arguing, and then I just stopped talking. Didn't say a word for about 15 minutes. Just stared at the whiteboard. People thought I was stuck. But in that silence, I saw something no one had noticed. Speed, a power supply inefficiency that was wasting 12% of projected energy loads. Silence created space for that breakthrough. You don't see the invisible details when you're in a rush to speak. You only see them when you slow down. You want to find truth, solve hard things, build something impossible, then you need to be brave enough to stop filling the air. We're entering a new era. The old model of leadership, loud, dominating, center of attention, it's crumbling. The new leaders, they listen more than they speak. They pause before they post. They use silence to build, not to brag. Silence will become the new superpower. Why? Because in a world screaming for attention, the person who can stay centered, calm, grounded, that's the person everyone ends up following. I challenge you. Be the one who doesn't flinch when things get loud. Speed. Be the one who observes when others panic. Be the one who speaks only when it actually matters. You don't need to be louder to lead. You just need to be clearer. And the clearest thoughts you'll ever have come in silence. If you walk away from this episode with one truth, let it be this. Silence is not the absence of something. Speed, it's the presence of everything you need. In silence, you meet your real self. In silence, you find your greatest ideas. In silence, you learn how to speak. Not louder, but truer. The world is noisy, your feet is noisy, your head is probably noisy. Speed too. So give yourself what most people never do, the gift of stillness. Because the loudest person in the room rarely leads the future, but the quiet one is building it. And maybe that quiet one is you. So before you go, just sit for 10 seconds. No words, no scrolling, just silence. Like share and subscribe.